Welcome in. I'm Wrestle. We're covering all things Monday Night Raw. We had a big night. Intercontinental Championship changed hands. Jey Uso is finally the Intercontinental Champion. After months and months of him chasing singles gold, even stretches back to SummerSlam of last year. So you could say this is over a year journey of him chasing singles gold. He finally gets it done on Monday Night Raw. Ends Braun Breaker's title reign already. That's a bit of a surprise that Braun Breaker's Intercontinental Championship reign ended so quick. But no complaints. Jey Uso was long overdue. I'm glad he finally got the Intercontinental Championship. This is what the Intercontinental title is meant to do. It's supposed to reward those that get over. I mean, that's what all titles are meant to do, really. So I'm glad that the Intercontinental Championship switched hands here on an episode of Raw, too. It didn't need to happen on a PLE. That's one thing I've criticized Triple H with lately is everything's been building for one of the big fours or the big pay-per-views, you know. It has to happen at WrestleMania or SummerSlam. But no, he made the switch on an episode of Monday Night Raw. So good on him for that. This does cause a little bit of concern with Jey Uso getting involved in the Bloodline Civil War. If he's the Intercontinental Champion, I don't quite see him jumping over to SmackDown. Unless, the US title switched back over to Raw or something like that. Unless Jey drops it, within the next 2 months. That's entirely possible. Jey doesn't need a super long reign, but I don't know. I kind of am worried about what the Bloodline Civil War is going to look like now. It might not actually happen this year, the War Games match. Everyone thinks it's going to, but on Raw, we have been building towards Judgment Day versus Jey Uso and Damian Priest, and now Dragunov has his issues with the Judgment Day. I wouldn't be entirely surprised if they do go a direction different than the Bloodline in the War Games. I don't want that. I don't want to see the Judgment Day in War Games, especially against that team I just mentioned. I think we all want it to be Bloodline Civil War, but I don't know, just something to keep an eye on there. Jey Uso, him winning this Intercontinental title, I think really can show a lot to some of these guys breaking out of tag teams that if you get over and do the right thing, you can win the Intercontinental title. You can win singles gold. Even though, this was delayed, I think this is a good sign for the future. As for what's next with Braun Breaker, a lot of questions. I mean, he's still super young. He's got his whole future ahead of him. I would love to see him getting in the world title picture. Might be a little soon for that. I don't really see them running Gunther, Braun Breaker anytime soon. But I don't know. There's a lot to happen with Braun. I hope he starts to mix it up with some of the top guys like Seth Rollins or Drew McIntyre or CM Punk. These are all feuds, I would love to see with Braun Breaker. So, I'm optimistic on what his future is, of course. I mean, he's undeniable. As for the rest of the night, the other biggest storyline is Dom's being locked in a shark cage for Rhea Ripley versus Liv Morgan. Little surprised with this stipulation, but it's perfect for Dom. I'm sure he's going to make that entertaining, him being locked in the cage up there. I would expect him to probably drop some sort of weapon to Liv during the match, whether, it's some sort of spray or melee weapon or whatever it is, but that's what I'm expecting there. Originally, I was a little disappointed. I thought Rhea Liv honestly, I thought it deserved a Hell in a Cell match itself, so I was kind of disappointed that they didn't go that route, but that's probably because the feud's far from over. I'm sure that they're going to continue feuding even after Bad Blood. That's kind of why we're getting the shark cage. The only issue with the shark cage is Rhea's over Dom now. At least that's how it seems. So for her to be over the shark cage, it does give Liv a clear advantage because of what I already said. Like he will be able to bark instructions down to her or drop a weapon or whatever it is he does. I'm sure he's going to do something. I would rather, if I was Rhea, I would rather Dom just be banned from ringside. But I get it. She probably, within story would say she wants him to be there and see it firsthand. So I'm sure Dom will make it fun. I'm sure we're going to have a lot of fun with Dom up there. Him dangling up there is going to be awesome. The graphic they made of that was already funny. We also, we get some more development with the Judgment Day too. With Liv's the one barking instructions. We don't see Finn, and we see Liv's the one running the show now. She doesn't quite hit as the leader, especially because she joined, 2 months ago. So it's kind of weird to see everyone fall in line for her. I get Dom does, and I know JD and Carlito are just lackeys at this point, but a little seniority, should go a long way here. Finn is the leader in my opinion still. But Finn and JD, these guys need to drop these tag titles. Finn's off doing his own thing, feuding with Priest. He's in a solos feud. He doesn't need the tag titles. This isn't doing anything for the tag division. It gives something for JD to walk around with, but he doesn't even need it either. I would like to see a team that's going to actually compete in the tag division be the tag team champions. Raw has been building their tag division back up. The Creed's got a big win over the New Day, which, seems like with the New Day, we still might be getting the split, which I don't want to see. Honestly, I might be in the minority there, but they've already referenced the 10-year anniversaries coming up in November. It would be kind of weird to see them get split up before that. So we might have 2 months of, Woods debating on turning. I would love to see Big E become a part of this story. Even if Woods turns, Big E can slot right into this story, try to reason with him. But Big E could be the glue that brings the New Day back together and reunites them, fully. And even if he can't ever wrestle again, I would like to see Big E in this story. I think it would make sense. Like I said, even if Woods does turn heel, if Big E's the one to try to reason with him, that works. That definitely works. We could have Big E could, maybe be the special guest ref. If he can't bump, I think he could be a ref, if that's something he wants to do. If he wants to stay completely out of the ring because he can't wrestle, I get it too. I'm not begging for him to be in there if he doesn't want to be in there. I just assume he probably would like to be a part of this storyline in some way or another. But even if not, if we're going to do some sort of 10-year anniversary for the New Day, obviously E has to be a part of that. It could be some sort of celebration. I could see, something similar to the Festival of Friendship with Kevin Owens and Jericho. With Woods and Kofi, if they don't do Big E, Woods throws this celebration. For months it could be, him contemplating on if he still wants to be a part of the New Day, and then the anniversary comes, and then he throws this celebration, and then he turns on Kofi. Then, really hits us with that turn. Something that most of us probably wouldn't see coming. That's a good direction. I had mentioned the Creeds pick up the win over the New Day. Good win for them. I'm glad they're off of the Wyatt 6. I would like to see the Creeds get the tag titles. This is a good, solid team. American made. I don't know. I don't love that name, but I'm just happy Gable is still, doing something, but I want to see him get singles gold. Let's see Gable be the one to take the Intercontinental title off of Jey Uso. That's something I'm still into. Gable's been chasing that title for over a year himself. I think it's, we're not far from pulling the trigger on that. Gable needs to get either the Intercontinental Championship or the World Championship within the next 6 months, if you ask me. I know, Mania coming up, Gable might not, roll into Mania as World Champion. So that's why, he could go with the Intercontinental title. He's earned that. He deserves it. He's been, honestly, for the last year, he's been one of the best parts of Monday Night Raw. The stuff with Otis, even the stuff with the Wyatt 6. He's the one that kind of made that for me. So that's something I really want to see. Moving on to the Wyatt 6, not a whole lot. since they beat American Made. They're kind of just floating. This is what I was worried about with the Wyatt Six is they were going to have weeks of television where they're not really doing much. Like, yeah, they still have the video package, but it's not a whole lot of substance sometimes. It's a whole lot of smoke and mirrors, I think. Like they just throw a bunch of stuff at you, coated in riddles, and you're supposed to try to figure it out. And people do figure some of the stuff out. But the issue is it just doesn't hit sometimes. Like I don't know. I don't know what it is with these guys. With Bray, the stuff was different. Bray, I don't know. He rambled a lot was one of the knocks people would say, but I never felt that with Bray. Bray always felt like he was saying something meaningful. He was building towards something. I feel like these video packages just aren't doing that. And I don't know. They're not helping themselves out. They're not doing any favors for the Wyatt Six. This is a gimmick that some people don't like anyway. Some people don't like the supernatural stuff. There was a lot of questions on if they would wrestle in the masks or if they would wrestle as themselves. And I don't know. I just think some people are 50-50 on them to begin with. And I think just weeks and weeks of them not being in the ring just isn't going to help them. The video packages, some of them are cool, but they're not for everyone. And I think that's something that they have to be aware of. These guys need to be feuding with somebody. My prediction would be Drew McIntyre. That's who I think they go after next. I think following Bad Blood, Drew and CM Punk, they need something meaningful to split them, to separate them, to keep them away from each other. And if something supernatural is coming after Drew McIntyre, I think that could be the right move. And especially if they do go after Drew, I think that's the right step up for them. They did just feud with Chad Gable. They have to go up the card. We cannot have them go backwards. If they go backwards or down the card, they might be doomed, honestly. So I would like to see them go after Drew. I think Drew can make that work. He's been doing some of the best work of his career, especially on the mic, over the last 6 months. So Drew versus the Wyatt Six is the direction I want to see them go. Speaking of Drew, he does cut a promo on CM Punk leading into their match at Bad Blood. Honestly, I'm kind of ready for this feud to be over. I know we're less than 2 weeks from it being over with the blow-off, but it's time. I want to see CM Punk move into something different. I think these guys are kind of running out of things to say to each other. They're not even doing like in-ring promo battles. 1 week Punk's out there cutting a promo. The following week Drew is. They're not interacting with each other. I think it's time. There's a lot of guys on this roster. I think we're all hoping to see CM Punk wrestle for the first time or again that we haven't seen in 10 years. So there's a lot to look forward to there. And I think it's definitely time. We've both heard them tell each other they're going to make each other bleed. They've done everything they can, and now it feels like it's time for the match. Hopefully next week we get one last stamp on it with an in-ring promo battle or something of sorts like that. But that's well needed. Let's see Punk maybe move on to the world title following this. I mean, Punk versus Gunther, sign me up. I'm sure sign anybody up. So that's a direction I'd be happy to see. Punk and Drew, I will say this. This match should be the main event of Bad Blood. And I'm sure it's going to be. Every Bad Blood in history has been main evented by a Hell in a Cell, whether it was for the world title or not. So that's definitely what I want to see. I don't want to see Solo and Jacob Fatu versus Roman and Cody be the main event. Just because it's Roman and Cody. Put that match on first or something. But Punk and Drew have earned the main event here. Let's make it happen. We don't even have a World Heavyweight Championship match yet. I don't know what they're saving Sammy Gunther for. Maybe that'll happen on an episode of Raw. Maybe that'll happen at the Saudi show, which is the following PLE after Bad Blood. But Yeah, I mean, Punk and Drew, that absolutely belongs as the main event. Yeah, Sammy and Gunther. I would love to see Sammy win the world title, but this feud's not doing it for me. Maybe because we just watched these guys feud, 5 months ago leading into WrestleMania. I was hoping when Gunther won the world title, we would at least see him wrestle a different class of people. Not that Sami Zayn's not in that class, but that was somebody he was feuding with, during the Intercontinental Championship reign. So I was hoping to see, Gunther start to feud with the Drew McIntyres and the CM Punks and the Seth Rollins. That's where I wanted to see it. Not he feuds with Sammy again. Sammy, he's kind of lost in the shuffle, I think, right now. I don't know if they know the direction they want to go. They might be doing the Bloodline Civil War, and he might be a part of that. And this might just be filler stuff for the time being for Sammy. But I don't know. You can feel it's filler. This doesn't feel like something that was planned out. This is going to be Gunther's second world championship defense. I don't think when he won the world title they were thinking they were going to do Sami Zayn as his second challenger. I don't buy that. I think that this is kind of just something they threw together, just to fill some time. Gunther being scared to actually sign up for the match, I'm not really a fan of that. I mean, he wrestles such a physical style. He shouldn't be playing that kind of heel, He is some sort of a final boss heel. He should be in that role where, okay, yeah, you did end my historic title reign. I do want to beat you. Not, week after week saying Sammy doesn't deserve the title shot, refusing to give it to him. That's just not the place I want to see Gunther in. I don't think it makes sense for him. But I mean, I guess it's a good way to stall it out and not put it on the PLE in case they do put it on Raw. So I guess that's the positive there. If Sammy were to win, which I don't think will happen, but Braun Breaker's Intercontinental title reign ended way quicker than I thought it would when he first captured it. So I can't rule out Gunther's world title reign ending quicker than I thought. But if Sammy did win, I mean, what a moment. We would have. But I just don't see it. I don't see it, and I think that's part of the problem here for Gunther, unfortunately, is when you're trying to build these monster heels, they have to be in there with somebody you see them losing it to, I think. I think that does good for everybody. Finn, as I mentioned, no Finn. Weird, we're building towards Priest and Finn, and that nothing really progressed there. Kind of feels like the ball was dropped with Finn versus Priest. I mean, the turn happened, almost 2 months ago now, and it's just losing steam. It really is. Like, Finn versus Priest, that's a match that could have made a Hell in a Cell. Originally, I mean, they were part of the Judgment Day for a couple years together, tag team champions. They're brothers, essentially, within the group. And then he turns on him and costs him the World Heavyweight Championship. And it kind of just feels like another match now. Just feels like another story. Priest is getting over as a babyface. He was doing that during the world title reign, though. So, I mean, good on Priest. He is being elevated. But unfortunately, this match just doesn't hit like it could have and should have. Some people thought this could be a WrestleMania match. This could have been built up for WrestleMania. This was a big match. At least it should have been. But here we are with not a lot happening. There's still a lot of time. This is their first match. These two might wrestle 2, 3, 4, 5 times. I don't know. I'm not putting the nail in the coffin right now. I just feel like there's a lot on the table, and we're not touching any of it. We're really not. This is a feud that should be, honestly, one of the top marquee feuds. This has all the potential to be. The turn was so impactful, he cost him the World Heavyweight Championship, when they were a part of the same faction. And here we are, and it might go on second on the PLE, and it is what it is. There's not real stipulation on it. There's not real heat. I would like to see them start to put some real heat on that. So hopefully, following Bad Blood, we get some momentum with that feud. I would like to see them go a couple times. I don't think one match is all that those two need. I think this should at least be a 3-match series. Like I said, I really wouldn't rule out War Games. If it's Finn's team versus Priest, that would not shock me one bit. That might be something that we get, honestly. So there's still a lot of potential on this feud. Lot of meat on the bone. So I'm not going to complain about it too much. I just want to see some heat. Braun Strowman, Bronson Reed. This is easily the best part of Raw, week after week. Just two true heavyweight monsters going at it. Wrecking everything. Backstage, announce tables, everything. These two have been absolutely incredible. They've put on a great true story of I'm bigger, I'm badder than you. And then the other guy says the same thing, and it's just about proving it. Next week on Raw, we get a last monster standing match. Good twist. This is the match that I think this feud needs. I mean, these two have been just causing harm to everybody that gets in their way, harm to each other. They need a match like that, and I can't wait. I would imagine they're going to... hopefully we get the suplex that breaks the ring. Braun kind of teased that. He tried to suplex Bronson Reed. Bronson Reed gets away, but I think next week we're going to get that. I think the ring's going to explode. Announce tables are going to be broken. Barricades are going to be broken. They might go backstage, tear that up. But this is this is fun. This is pro wrestling at its best. Honestly, I couldn't be happier with how they're building Bronson Reed the last few months. They're really turning him into a star, a real credible threat. This is a guy that should be in this position. When he was in Japan, they had him beating Okada. This is what people think of him. He has all the makings to be a star. You just have to give him the opportunity. And I think that's what they're doing now. And Strowman's always been awesome. He's a great big man. He truly is. And I think this is bringing the best out of both of these men, feuding with each other. Last monster standing, typically a last man standing would be the blow off. I don't want to see these two be done. I really don't. I want to see these two continue to go week after week because, again, this is truly the best part of Monday Night Raw every week. When these two come on, you perk up in your seat. You're excited. You know something's going to be broken. There's going to be a lot of fun to happen. So, we'll see. I'm sure, as I said, they're going to destroy everything next week. I wouldn't be against both men being counted for the count of 10. I'm not entirely against that. Normally I would be, but I don't want to see this be done. I think we're far from done. Like Strowman's whole thing with Roman was, I'm not finished with you. That was the thing for months and months and months when Strowman was maybe at peak popularity. If he starts to bring that same kind of energy back for Bronson Reed over the next few weeks and months, that's perfect. That is absolutely perfect. That's what Strowman should be doing. So hopefully we get more of that. I don't really know where we could go after a last man standing match for these two, but just let's run a bunch of stipulation matches. I'm okay with it. I think everybody else would be too. This is a feud that I don't want to just see this one match and then they move on. There's a lot I want to see with these two. I think we're just scratching the surface. That's going to wrap up Monday Night Raw review, guys. Thank you for checking me out. Please like, comment, share, subscribe. Thank Thank you for the support.